Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being here. Today I'm going to put two videos together. We're going to do the closeout for August because I don't feel much has changed since my last check-in. And then I'm going to do the budget setup for September. As ever, please do forgive the voiceover mode. I'm not getting made up today, so there we go. So I've got a few things to talk to you about. It's quite an uncertain month. I did go into this a little bit during my check-in. One of the things that's adding uncertainty is that I need to close my credit account. I did go in to lower the credit limit on that account so that the hold they put on it would be lower when I closed it. But it's been 2 weeks now, and so far I haven't had any updates on that, which is what I'm going to call about. So it's still standing at 1,000, and that's had a small impact on my budget from this month that we're closing out that you'll see in a minute. I know you can all tell from all the stories I've told you, but man, this bank is terrible. It's just awful. I actually got paid, what date is it, the 16th? I got paid a couple of days ago, right? And I thought, okay, based on my budget and where I'm planning on being, I think I can afford to send this much home. So I went to do that, and surprise, surprise, because what are they if not consistent? They couldn't send the money home for me because they couldn't recognize my Swift code. Swift code or a BIC is a number that is assigned to each branch of each bank, and it's part of the transfer process. So you need like your IBAN, your international bank number, and you need your Swift code. For some reason, their app would not recognize it. And it wasn't just me, because we had other people at other branches. Like I had a friend who lives in the Isle of Man, and we thought it was because she was in the Isle of Man. But no, they're just uniformly terrible. I ended up having to do a workaround of like transferring my money over to my other bank account, which has been set up and ready for the closure of this one for a few weeks now. Unfortunately, they immediately recognized the Swift code, sent the money, it arrived the next day. I did have to pay for that transfer, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So the good news is I did manage to get some money home, and I do have a path to do that moving forward while I deal with all the stupid bank stuff right now. But the bad news is that until somebody in my terrible bank makes a decision and actually does their job, I'm kind of stuck at the moment. But let's look at the ending of my August budget and where I ended up, and then we can talk about the September one when we move forward. Okay, so as you might remember, I got paid my usual $13.13. I did get my bonus money. I mostly rolled that over, though it looks a little bit lower than it actually was because I absorbed my IKEA spending into this number. But it was balanced on the other side with my home account, and I will show you that. So my fixed bills ended up being exactly what I was expecting. As I told you, I did end up paying the home internet early, so it wasn't a bill I put into there this time, which is why I changed the projected cost to zero because I had already spent it. I didn't put anything on my phone last month because remember, this is the pay period that's just finished. However, I did in the following month that I've just set up. I feel like when I go down to variable expenses here, I got really close to the edge of my budget this month. I'm not sure what was going on with that, but it was quite close. My groceries, I spent my entire budget. Some of that was slightly silly spending, silly, unnecessary spending in the sense of I went for slightly more expensive products that I didn't necessarily have to have. I know what I did. I stayed in budget. It doesn't matter too much, but things got close. Transport wasn't too bad, which I was very lucky about because I did do some extra trips, but I was well within budget there. School ended up being a little bit pricey because we did end up going back to school, and I did purchase some like display things for my classroom and some supplies for my kids and stuff like that. Beauty and health, I was well within budget. I didn't buy any makeup this time around, so it was a little bit cheaper, but I did buy a couple of medications. My spending was okay. Clothing, as I said before, ended up slightly over because I bought a pair of shoes, but I didn't buy anything else. And my IKEA spend that I explained in my check-in. My bank charges are in red because I didn't actually spend them this month, because the credit limit was initiated but hasn't actually lowered. I haven't gone in to close my credit account yet, so I haven't been charged this. So what I'm actually doing is rolling that over to next month and including it in bank charges there, and hopefully it will happen this month. We will see. Going over to my fixed bills, my income ended up being 2004, and then my YouTube ended up being 739. Fixed bills stayed the same. I put some money into my emergency fund. In terms of my second fixed bills account, that tends to be things I either pay from there or I save, because I consider my savings a fixed bill because it's going out. The only thing that changed was my future. I had a little bit of extra money in this account, and I ended up putting an extra 400 into my future payment. So that was a total of 900. One small thing down here, the 167 here, was because I paid for the IKEA shopping I did with this sinking fund. So essentially it's money that didn't transfer over because I'd already spent it. So the month was okay. The IKEA shopping was slightly unexpected. It was something I kind of had on my to-do list, but I didn't realize I was going to do it right then. And I did end up getting my bonus off cycle, so it arrived unexpectedly. I'm glad it's there, but I wasn't expecting it. I do think I want to neaten up slightly how I'm spending though. I feel like I'm getting a little bit looser with it, and I'm going a little bit over. I'm getting a little bit closer to my limits. When I need more money, I don't mind adjusting my accounts and saying, okay, this is unrealistic. But I think what I'm doing is realistic. I'm just not being as careful with it. So I want to make sure moving forward, especially as we come up to kind of the Christmas period, that I'm being a little bit more careful. So having said that, we're going to move on to September. And September is pretty empty on the send home sign that you will see. So let me just show you. I have already started using this budget because I went shopping yesterday after I got paid. So the actual cost numbers you can just ignore for now. We'll just talk about the projected. Okay, so in income, we have salary of 1313. I think I actually had a real or two extra this month. I didn't bother counting it, but I had a very small refund from my water bill. So the school gives me an allowance for water, but if you don't spend up to the allowance, you get refunded the difference. And then obviously if you spend over, you have to pay the difference. I'm a single person. I don't use it all, so they gave me a few real. I haven't counted it here because I'd already pre-set up this template, and I actually was very, very close to that in my account. I prefer to have a little bit of buffer, so I just put it in as buffer. Additional income was the 500 from my bonus, so I rolled that over to here as if it had come in now. And that led me to a total monthly of 1,813 real. When it comes to real to pounds, pounds being my home currency, you about double it, and that gives you an idea of how much. So I'd say about 3,600. However, you can see from my send home here that it's a lot lower than usual. So there's reasons for that. Let's get into them. My fixed bills, not a lot of changes here. My home internet has gone on to the new billing amount because I changed my package, so it's slightly lower now. Instead of 37, we are looking at 29. My electricity as well, I've been putting 20 on for the last couple of months because it was summer, so I was home a bit more frequently, and it's been really, really hot. So I was going through it faster because it needs more power, running the AC more often and having to maintain the temperature, just being harder. However, this month I can feel the temperature changing slightly. We're still pretty humid out there, but I don't seem to be working the AC unit so hard, and it's not using quite so much power. With that in mind, I had a little bit extra left on my account for the electricity because I have a meter here. And so I put 15 on now, and we'll just see if it can last me. My cleaner will be 20 as per usual. We've actually had to change her hours, so it's a little less convenient, but she didn't choose to make the change and she was super upset. So I was like, look, we'll work around you, because I think she was worried about losing the income. So we're sorting that out now, but she should be as usual. and my phone was just at the point where I needed to top up the account, so I've just put a flat 10 on there. My actual bill is about $3.50 a month, but I'll keep an eye on that. So let's go down to my variable expenses. My groceries gets its usual $120. Transport is getting $20 this month. My school is getting $30 because I'm finding that I'm buying a little bit more for school. I want to keep an eye on that because I did originally put it up to $30 because we were starting school again, and we're only a couple of weeks into school really. So I'll give it $30 for one more month, and then I just want to rein it in a little bit. Probably drop it down to the $20 I had before. Beauty and health gets its usual $30. I'm pretty well stocked with skincare, but I am probably going to have to buy some sun cream, and that's pretty expensive here, so I'm glad I've got a little extra padding in that category. Miss Home is getting its usual $10, and my miscellaneous spending, like if I go out and get a coffee or what have you, will be getting the $25 it always gets. I've just realized as I look at this now that clothing is still on $10. I thought clothing was on $25. We reduced it last month because I had bought quite a few things for the holiday. But I think actually now I see this, I'm going to have to put this up to $25. I had forgotten about that. And then we get my credit card hold. So, banking charges. I have been told I'll be charged $25 for closing the account, which we're not even there yet. If the credit card reduction goes through, then the hold can be between 100 and 150% of the total amount on the credit card. So my limit is currently 1,000. I'm trying to put the limit down to 500. That means if they were to take the whole 150%, that would be 750 real. I don't think they'll do that, but I don't trust them as far as I can throw them, so I'm planning for it. So I've got 750 reals ready for the credit card hold, and then I've got the 25 reals for the charge. I don't really know what's going on with that hold. I'm going to call them after I get off here and see if they can follow it up for me, put in a complaint so that their team can action it. I was told I had to go into a branch to do the hold, but having now done this, it's a case of someone pressing yes on approval, so I need that to go through. Because I've got potentially 775 tied up in this, it means that my send home portion is very sparse this month. Let's take a look at that and I'll explain it. So the income I've sent home so far, eventually because of the problems of getting it home, is £1,435. Now, I don't have a section in my variable expenses for the transfer charge because they don't charge it me extra. They take it out of the total I'm sending and I just get like a slightly worse amount. So there's no need to do an extra budget item for that. But instead of it now being free and instant, I pay 5 real this side, and then I have a receiving charge on my bank side of £5, which ends up being a total of about £15 to receive my money. Now, there is another option where I can pay it all on this side so I don't get charged to receive it. But if I do that, it's 15 real, which is £30. So the way I've got it set up is half the cost, but I don't think I can get it cheaper. This is just how much it will be from now on. So I sent home $1,450 and I received $1,435. Now, I've got a few payments I'm expecting to come in this month. Oh, I'm sorry. I've just realized I lied to you. I've counted the money I took from the sinking fund twice. It shouldn't have been in my August budget. It should have been here. Apologies. I'll not go back and change it now. But it says from sinking fund there. That was because I took money out of my home budget for the IKEA stuff. I'd forgotten that I put it onto this budget. Sorry. But anyway, my YouTube, I'm expecting to get, I think it was 500 and something. And then with the money from the sinking fund that I just had waiting in the account, it's a total of 720. Now that money, the sinking fund is obviously already in there, but the YouTube money won't hit. I don't know the exact date, but probably for another 10 days because it comes between the 21st and the 26th. So I can't spend all that money right now, but that's what I'm expecting in. But there is also the possibility that I'm going to get that refund from the tax office. Now, I don't know exactly when that's coming through. They said maybe a month. They weren't sure. It's been a couple of weeks since then, so I'm not expecting it to be in there, but it may pop up at some point, and if it does, great. I'll allocate funds on this side a little more. But for the sake of the state the budget is in right this second, until money hits my account, I don't want to pre-spend it because that way lies madness. So I've just cut everything I could cut out this month so that my outgoings would be less. So I haven't put money in my emergency fund yet, and as money comes in, this may change. So as you can see, emergency fund, no other spending, YouTube Premium and the subscription for the creator I support. I've got enough buffer in that account. I don't need to add extra money to it. These are the two payments that I prioritized with the money I have at the moment. I wanted to put into my pension and I wanted to put into my future fund. They're getting their usual amounts. Now, whatever I end with, this budget will probably change. But for the moment, that's what I prioritized. Now, the one other thing I was considering prioritizing, but I don't need the money right now, if we go down to sinking funds, was tax. I do usually put $200 a month into tax. However, in this case, because I've already got my tax funded for the next year, it wasn't urgent that it was done this month. But when any extra money comes back, I will put a double amount into the tax fund. And I'm not putting anything else into anything. I'm not putting into travel. I'm not putting into any of these ones right here. I am going to change the home and tech out of the green though, because it's no longer fully funded. So let's just put no fill in there. So I know I need to fund that when the money comes in. So hopefully in the next week or two, I should get an extra 800-ish pounds from HMRC, and I should get just over 500 from YouTube, and I'll be able to make up these numbers, which we'll see. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a check-in or not. I might need to this month because so many changes are happening, but I am thinking of reducing down those videos because I feel like there isn't as much change between the check-in and the close, but this month might be an exception. I was considering booking some travel. I haven't completely ruled it out, but while the banking thing is up in the air, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to. So we'll see how that goes and how my conversation after this recording goes. I realize that that doesn't give us very much information in terms of how this month is going forward. I will be very glad when this is resolved and I can just get back onto normal budgeting and know exactly what's happening. But for now, this is where we are. So thank you everybody for joining me today. As changes happen, I'll try and update you here. Continue our conversation about the world's worst bank and their adventures. I laugh so I don't cry. Thank you very much for watching everybody, and I will see you next time.